Well, hello, 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 and welcome to ZBrush Live. This is Kermaco's Heart Surface and Character Design. And doing the same routine every time. Want to check to see if you guys can hear me okay and see my screen. If you can, please let me know in the chat. That would really help. If I get somebody from YouTube and somebody from Twitch chiming in saying that you can hear me okay, then it means I'm good to go. And so I'll wait for that. And while we're doing that, I just wanted to invite you all to make sure you like this if it is useful to you whenever you're watching it, whether you're watching it live or after the fact. It really helps. And also subscribe to ZBrush Live channel. There's a lot of streamers streaming some great sessions and of all different types, jewelry design, stylistic characters, tutorials, things like that. So definitely subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Also, if you have questions, you can ask them while we are doing the stream. And if you have questions after the fact, when you're watching this offline on YouTube, you can always leave your question in the comment and hopefully we'll see it and get back to you. All right, that said, if you guys can please let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay, that's great. So yeah, let's do that. And we're going to be continuing with our motorcycle and the rider today. So that's basically what we're going to do. I had a little bit of time to work on this, not much. I'm just going to do some more tertiary details today. And then I'm going to put this project on pause and then render it at another time. So I'm not going to do the render kind of contiguously. I'll just do it at another point in time. But I'll try and end this today, and then afterwards we will pick it up again after a few weeks to see if we can get the rendering done. There's a few things I'm waiting for, so I'm just going to do that. In the meantime, again, I'm just waiting for somebody to chime in the chat. There's a few of you watching, so please let me know if you are going to, if you're hearing me okay, if the audio is coming through okay, and if you can see my screen okay. And in the meantime here, I'm going to load in some colors. And while we're doing that, if you guys, again, could please let me know, that would be awesome. ZBrush, where are the colors? Here we go. See if there is. Here we go. Okay, good. All right, still haven't heard back from anybody. There's a few of you watching, not that many today, which is interesting. But yeah, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe everybody's getting ready for the Super Bowl, which is happening here in a couple of days in the US. Kind of not as exciting for the rest of the world, but I think we have the World Cup coming up soon as well. So, all right, well, I'm just going to go assume that you guys can hear me and just continue on. I'm just kind of perplexed. I wonder if everything is working okay, because I usually have a lot more viewers than this. Yeah, it's so weird. It keeps fluctuating back and forth to a bigger number and a smaller number. All right, well, I'm going to get going. If somebody, isn't hearing me or isn't seeing what I'm working on, they can always let me know later on in the chat. All right, let me just do this real quick. All right, so I don't know if I'd done this last time, but I did this kind of little area here that pops out so that the rider can, which one is the right one? I think it's this one right here. So the rider can rest their feet on there. So these are kind of the footrests, and they're retractable. So this part retracts in. And I might indicate that with a different color here as I'm thinking about it. Let's do it. All right, so I'm just going to select this part. And okay, good, mirroring is on. And then let's just pick a different color, maybe something more like this, and let's just do a fill object. Okay. And I will be changing the color around of this bike today. So yeah, so that blue part kind of pops out and pops back in when the bike is parked. Right, and then let's see, what else did I do? Oh, I made the front steering wheel steerable. So basically what that means is that if I go to this, and let's just center it. If I go to all of the objects, and let me turn solo off, all of the objects, and let's say I just select these parts only to move. Actually, this other part too, right here. And if I move my gizmo to the center of the cylinder over here, that's kind of where the steering would be from. Okay. And I'm going to turn symmetry off for now and recenter this. Just bring it back to where it was over here. Oops. Right, and I'm also going to rotate the gizmo to the axis of rotation of the steering. Okay. So as this is being driven, hey Cyber, how's it going? Thank you. I guess you can hear me and see me, so we're good on YouTube. And then if somebody from Twitch can chime in, that's great. So see, this kind of rotates like this for the bike to turn, right? So probably the most it rotates is about there. Right, and all of this again is controlled automatically by some sort of artificial intelligence of the bike. So it's not kind of a human, the handlebars don't do the driving. Where the person looks, the heads-up display in the helmet does all the steering. So the person just sits on the bike. There are some kind of activation points, so on the thighs and on near the knees of the bike, there are these kind of patches that basically indicate where the rider is, in addition to the seat. And so if they're sitting on there, this handlebar goes in and out depending on the speed that the person's going in. and everything else, the braking, the balance, the turning, everything else is controlled by the helmet. I'm going to put a little heads-up display or some sort of not a heads-up display, but some sort of thing here so that if the helmet, for example, is malfunctioning or whatever, that there is some functionality on the bike just in case. So that's that. And then yeah, so we'll just work on a few kind of tertiary forms on here and just add some kind of interesting details. So one of the things I wanted to do is put some lights. So here I was working on this. I think the last thing I was working on were these. So these little lights over here. Okay, let's activate symmetry. So they're just really simple topology, and all these are alphas that I made 3D objects with. So they're kind of very simplistic right now. And let's go ahead and divide them a little bit, like so. Okay, here we go. Right, just trying to get that kind of flat area over here, and luckily ZBrush put a nice kind of loop in there for me. Now what I want to do is I want to slide these inwards, but it's kind of not at a very good place. So I have to figure out how to do this, and I think I just did. And I don't, there's subdivision, I just divided this, didn't I? All right, let's divide it, bring it all the way back down. And let's delete the higher levels for now. And I'm going to go ahead and insert this edge loop in here, like so. Okay, and I want just that to be the inside part of the light. I'm thinking of what would be kind of a really cool looking light fixture here. What I'm not liking is this part over here. All right, so I'm going to, did I delete the high? Yeah, I did. I'm just going to go ZBrush this one more time, and then I'm going to have it detect edges. I don't have, well, let me add groups. So I'm just going to add a polygroup over here. Polygroup flat island, and I'm going to polygroup this part. Added 2 extra polygons I didn't want, so that's easily fixed. Polygroup single poly, this one, and still have click to solo, turn that off. Okay, so okay, here we go. So these are all done now, and I'm just going to mirror and weld this to the other side. I don't know why it didn't happen on the other side, but it's easy enough. Where are you? Mirror and weld X. Okay. All right, and now I'm going to ZBrush it again. Keep the groups, keep detect edges, and anything else? No. All right, just do it. What I'm hoping for is better topology here, and I got it, so that's good. Now there is a crease around this. I don't know why, but let's see if I like it or not. Somehow this did the symmetry in Y, which is strange. Okay, easily fixable. And I'm just kind of trying to see what these look like, and they look okay. Trying to get a more interesting shape for them. And again, right now I'm just, you know, kind of doing just the basic determination of the shape, and then I'll play around with the topology. That messed around with my polygroup, and I'm just going to uncrease all here. Just soften this up. And let's see what that looks like. That's okay. And again, this is a small detail, but I kind of like to, just going to make this a bit smaller. I know I do this every time, but it can't be helped. I wish there was a way you could go back and forth. But, I do the right one. No, not. Here we go. Right, I do see some people saying some stuff on the chat. I'll be right there. Just give me a moment, please. I think this is good enough. All right. All right, much better. All right, let's see. How's it going? Nice progress, thank you. I can say just quickly stopping. Okay, and if you tried to Stream Deck add-on for moving window, I did, and if it was you who told me about it, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I did get it, and it's awesome because I can go from 4K to 2K, or yeah, I mean 1080p just by a click. It was super, super useful, and yeah, thank you so much for that referral. I truly appreciate it. It's funny because I didn't used to have my Stream Deck connected all the time, but now I do. I put a bunch of other things on there. I didn't realize there were so many cool plugins for Stream Deck. Honestly, I was kind of contemplating whether or not I should have gotten it or not, but I think just this thing made it worth it right there. So thanks again for your help. All right, so this is going to be the front part of the light, and then I'm just going to see if I can get it to isolate. Yeah, but thanks for stopping by, and hopefully you can stop by again soon. All right. Awesome. Yeah, where are you? What university are you at? Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, for the Stream Deck, definitely. It's definitely, you know, I never really thought of it as that. And also, I've got the kind of the ZZZ kind of, you know, go to sleep button on there too, so I don't have it on all the time, which I don't think is kind of a good idea. But yeah, I turn it on, I do all the things I need to do and turn it back off again. But it is permanently connected to my PC now. Thanks to you. All right, so this is kind of coming together pretty nicely here. And I think this is good for the lights. Just want to get it to be some sort of an interesting design-oriented shape. Like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to Q-mesh this. Q-mesh, polygroup all. Yeah, Cyber, which university are you going to? Right, so there is kind of the light bulb, right? And what I'm going to do here is split these. Well, before I split it, let me kind of place it in place. Now, if I were to really do this correctly, one of these would be the lenses. And then I'd also create another one for the actual light inside. All right. You can see that the brush size is really big. The part I'm working on is a really, really small part. Okay, that's good. And then what I'm going to do is mask these two and then move these down. Right, so they are intersecting. And basically I'll just set these to be emissive, an emissive material. I don't know if the mirroring is working as it should, but I can always mirror and weld if it's not. Media technology in Germany, we have 3D class. I can choose software I want to use. I'm the only person using ZBrush. Yeah, I mean, that's great. Probably everybody else is using Blender or using something else. I mean, depending on what you want to do, I think it's a good idea to kind of customize what you're learning in the class to. But it's great that they give you freedom. That's awesome. All right, so there's the lights there. And then I'm just going to split the mask points. And I'm just going to zero mesh these once, keeping the detecting edges and keeping the groups, just to get a little bit better topology. Something like that. Let's bring everything back. So these are over here. They don't go through, but they're just to kind of, you know, light up this area. Let's go down to this, then do some work on it. And I don't really need the separate polygroups now. I can just have one group. And also I'm going to level this off. Getting a foot in the industry is kind of, I don't know what industry you're talking about. ZBrush caters to a lot of different industries. But yeah, getting your foot in the door is an interesting prospect. It's funny because, you know, it used to be if you got your foot in the door, you were set, but that's changed quite a bit. There's a lot of people who had their foot in the door that are out of a job right now. So I think, you know, there's a lot of things, different things going on. And most of them are outside of the artist's control, unfortunately. So I know some really, really good artists that are just not getting the types of works that they used to get. But the good news is I see a lot of them doing interesting stuff, like starting Kickstarter campaigns or doing other things. I think the way that people will work, you know, innovation and different things that were happening in the past are going to be happening a little bit differently now. I don't think it's going to be the same level of people in production anymore. I think there's a lot of shots and a lot of different things that people used to require 3D for, and now they can just do it with AI. So if they just need a shot of a castle on a hill, they can just generate that with an AI image. And if it's just going to be a few seconds, I think they can get away with not having it be, you know, as good quality as it used to be. So I think that's kind of a bit of a tragedy in a way, but also what that means is that it will start something new. It'll start the next generation of what it is that we do, which means that, you know, artists, like small teams, will get together and start making all sorts of other things. Because I mean, if you look at 3D artists, you know, some of them have fun jobs. Like, you know, I mean, you know, what I do is fun to me, and I'd rather do it all day. It's good, but for a lot of people, it's just, you know, a lot of drudgery too. So the world is a changing, I guess, is kind of the point I'm trying to make. And it's going to be interesting to see what comes out on the other side. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm just, again, you know, torturing myself with this one piece that it doesn't seem to be wanting to do what I want it to do. And that's probably because the topology is a little bit uneven. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to delete the hidden parts and re-zero mesh this. Let's see if I can get something. Oh man, gave me something horrible. Oh, that's why. Kind of hung on to these pieces over here. Not a problem. Delete a single poly. Let's get rid of these three. And delete island. Let's get rid of this one. Oh, it's still connected somehow. Oh yeah. Not a problem. Easily fixable. I don't know how that happened. Probably at some point. Okay, that's gone. Delete island. Adios. All right, then we're just left with this. Now zero mesh it. Actually, I'm going to zero mesh it, but let's keep it a double. I don't know why it wants to run the edges. I think probably because I've got detect keep groups, and there's the smoothness of that. So now I think it'll be better. Okay, so now it does something even much worse. So let's keep it at the same. Let's keep groups, and let's bring the smooth way down. See if we get something better. Yeah, getting there. I kind of want this to be symmetrical, so let's see if this works. Still not getting what I want. Closer, but still not there. But I think it's close enough. I'm just going to go back to where I was before. And I'm going to do another trick here, which is I'm going to polygroup this around here. Okay, and now when I zero mesh it, I'm going to say keep groups and then bring this way down. See if this works better. Here we go. This is what I want. Topologically, this is what I want. Let's see if the shape fits in there. Now I've got all these other shapes in the middle. Let's see if transparency works. Nope. Not in this case. I have to kind of do it at an angle. I kind of would rather just do that head on, honestly, but it's fine. There it is. I'm just going to flatten this out. Actually, I don't really need it to be curved. That might make life easier. And then I'm just going to turn AccuCurve on and get these corners to be sharper. Okay, here we go. Everyone else chooses 3 S Max. That's interesting. Okay, thank you for that. And still trying to figure out hard surface modeling in ZBrush, and loved watching your model. Thank you very much for that. And how did I get into industry, or what do I recommend for newcomers? Yep, not having the safety of a job. Yeah. Well, I think safety is kind of a. I think safety is one of those things where it's. I mean, it's never safe, right? I think, you know, like I remember when I had a pretty good job and career with Microsoft for 18 years, which was awesome. And I remember when I first went to Nomen to take some courses, there was the lady who worked there, and I told her that, you know, I'd like to get some sort of a job where I could be, you know, I could replace kind of what I used to do at Microsoft, you know, which is be there for a long time. And she said, oh no, not in this industry. You know, nobody's in one job for a very long time. I think unless you're like some major bigwig at Pixar, like Ed Catmull or something like that, or somebody who's kind of, you know, a foundational person to the company. I think it's a very kind of vagrant kind of job market where you're, you know, working at one company for a while, then you're working at another company, and there are very few people I know that have been at one job for a long time. So, you know, that said, the reason why I'm saying that is because it's not safe. There's no safety. you're always kind of looking for work, and when you're working, you're always looking for work, and then you're looking for your next gig, knowing that whatever you're doing is going to come to an end at some point in the near future. Okay, so I don't know why this is. Here we go. Like, I added thickness, but it went in the other direction. Here we go. This is what I want. Let's add a segment here. And I don't know. I mean, all right. So that's kind of the light. And so now I've got this working and it's flat. I have it dynamically subdivided, but I haven't applied the dynamic subdiv yet. And I want to get a little bit of curvature to this. And so the way I'm going to do that, there's several ways of doing it. I think I'm going to try and do it with the gizmo parts here. And let's do a bend arc. Let's do that. So yeah, so that's kind of what I mean is, like, if you want job security, then what you want to do is start something with somebody where you are in a position you're in a position where you are indispensable to the project and indispensable to the company. And one way of doing that is if it's your own business, that automatically creates that type of security for you. And even then, you're not secure because it depends on how well the business does. It could start out doing great, but then it could also, over the years, have challenges. So I guess, I was at Lightbox this year. I was watching Craig Mullins paint, and he was saying a few things. And I mean, it just really seemed like he was completely fed up with the industry. And this is like, a major artist. And he was saying that, the best thing you can do is do what you want to do and do what you love. And, connect with people, and eventually you'll get to do, you'll get to work on something interesting. Because if you're just doing, things to get a job, that's going to change quite a bit. I mean, I remember, when I started doing this, Softimage was a big deal. And, they'd done Jurassic Park, and it was the software. And that changed. And now it's like not even a product anymore. So yeah, I think that's a good point too. I mean, depending on the software matters, but also what matters is understanding what the software is doing. So for a lot of people, like, when they see my work, they're like, "Oh, what did you use?" And I'm like, I use ZBrush plus, years of other fundamental art topics that I learned that are not software specific. Like, if you don't know what UVs are, it doesn't matter what software you use. You still need to understand what a UV is. You still need to understand what topology is, and what good topology is, and all that. So, all those things, they go beyond software. And it's funny, the whole AI thing is very controversial with a lot of artists that I know. I know some artists that have just completely, I'm going to try and create a different thing here where I just show these two things. There's a lot of artist friends of mine that are like very adamantly against AI. So they're like, you know, AI is the devil kind of mentality. And then I have friends that are, here, this makes life easier. And then I have friends who are like, well, you know, if I don't learn, you know, if an artist, you know, who's the person who's going to take my job is going to be an artist who knows AI. So I better be an artist that knows AI as well. So that's kind of some of the mentality I see. And, you know, honestly, I see some of them doing some things with AI, but I don't really see, I think they're just still using it as a way to get other work. So, you know, they like go, yeah, oh yeah, I know AI, oh yeah, AI can do this. And then they go start, you know, and then the person tells them what they want them to do. They're like, well, you know, AI isn't ready for that yet. I still have to use my old kind of, you know, old techniques to do these things. So it's kind of like a bait and switch type of a track. You know, getting enough profit is not that difficult. So, you know, I mean, you talk to people online, like you're talking to me now, you know, and you kind of know what I can do. So instead of learning what I can do, you know somebody who knows how to do this stuff. And then you learn your own kind of things and you reach out to people. I mean, if you, like, for example, let's say you wanted to go into the jewelry business, right? So instead of learning how to do jewelry in ZBrush, you can find an artist that does it, right? And then team up with that artist. And then you can learn to do certain other things. And so instead of, you know, starting everything from scratch, you can utilize a network of people. That's kind of my current strategy, is I'm trying to get to know people who do things different than what I do. Because if I, you know, am friends with people who know what I do, then, and if we get together, you know, we're all doing the same thing. Whereas it would be more useful if some of these folks did something else. Like somebody would be a game designer, and then, you know, you could be the person providing the artwork and the concepts, and then there could be another person that is the coder, and then there could be another person that's a level designer, and then there could be another person that's, I mean, that's, you know, just, I'm assuming this is gaming. I know I'm spending so much time on this piece, but the more time I spend on it, like, it's the more it's kind of, for something that's barely going to be seen, I think I'm just kind of doing some practices here, figuring out how the best way to do something like this would be. And sometimes that's all I, you know, if you see me spending a lot of time on something, it's not because I want to make that look great. It's because I'm kind of looking at different ways of getting certain effects, so that if I do need them in the future, I don't have to spend that time then. And part of this stream basically is for this exact reason, for me to just kind of be playing and figuring things out. Right. So here, for example, I'm just figuring out what the best way to get a light kind of fixture happening with an emissive piece on the inside. And again, I don't know how much of this will be visible, but I'm trying to see if I can sculpturally get this to the way I want it to be, instead of having to do it topologically. All right. What's the best way to get clean Boolean mesh? Yeah, I can tell you. You're not distracting me. As a matter of fact, I prefer having people ask questions while I'm working because it kind of, you know, gets my mind off of just complete focus on what I'm doing. And sometimes it opens my mind up to things that I might not have thought of. Okay, best way to do Booleans. So here, I'll just go over to the polymesh. All right, so a tangent here on how the best way is to do Boolean. So let's say what I want to do is I want to create this, and I want to create a hole in the middle, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and append another one of these guys. And then for this one, I'm going to go into my brush, and I'll talk about what my brush is later on, but I'm just going to go ahead and pick a polycylinder from here. Let's say this one. Okay, and where is that? Am I on solo? I'm not on solo, so why don't I see it? Is it too small? Here, let's just unify everything. Okay, let's unify this guy too. Unify, and let's go to another brush so we can see this menu. I don't know why the menu is smaller today. That's weird. Okay, I thought I had more room here, but I don't. All right, because I usually work in 4K, so that's why you're seeing the smaller. So what I'm just going to do is shrink this. Okay, so I want to create a hole in the middle of the star. Now, if I keep everything as is right now, and I do the Boolean, so I'm just going to go ahead and create a folder. And the best way to do a folder is to do it in or a Boolean is in a folder. So here's Boolean 1, right? And it's got these two shapes in it. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this folder. Actually, here, just duplicate these objects. It's not that many. All right, and then I'm just going to take these out of the folder, and so I have two of these. Okay, I'll use this one later. All right, so here's my Boolean folder, and if we look at the topology of this, I'll go ahead and turn off fill and do BPR render. You can see there's a little bit of differences here. One of the things is you can see that this one over here, the cylinder, has a lot of different polygons here, while the star does not. So what you want to do to get a good Boolean result is to make sure that whatever you're Booleaning relatively has similar level of detail. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take the cylinder and divide it once. Okay, so now it's smooth. Or it's got more topology, and I'm going to delete the lower level, and this is kind of what I want to do my Boolean with. Now another thing I want to think about is, okay, if it does the Boolean here, then it's not going to really have a lot of space, so or not a lot of kind of polygons here to work with, because if you look at it, it's nice and dense over here, but this area is not. So I'm going to solo this out. And what I want to do here is I want to add more edge loops going in this direction. So here I'm going to go ahead to insert multiple edge loops, and I'm just going to leave it as at interactive resolution, and then just take one of these and then start dividing it up until I get like these square polygons. Okay, so here I'm just going to go in here and make sure that so when I was doing that, it automatically was adding creasing, which I didn't want to do. Actually, it doesn't matter. Here we go. So I'm going to do it again, and I'm just going to divide this up until I get that. And once I get it, right, so QMesh or insert will remember what I did. So all I have to do is just click on these edges, and it does the exact same thing to every one of these. Okay, so now I've got this pretty much in a cylindrical shape and with the resolution that I want. Now the other thing I want to do is I want to again remove those creases, and I think it only creased the outside ones, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm going to, and it doesn't really, the creasing on the outside doesn't matter, so I'm just going to uncrease all here. And again, a lot of these I'm using my kind of fast menus to do these, but creasing is under geometry and crease, and here we go, uncrease and uncrease all. I'm going to uncrease everything. All right, and then now I'm going to go ahead and take a look at my other shape that I have to work on, right, which is the star. Now what I also want to do is I want to get the star to have kind of like similar level of detail. And right now it does not. So I'm going to go ahead and subdivide it, but I don't want it to get smooth. I want it to kind of still retain this star shape. So I'm going to turn smooth off and then divide, divide, divide. Let's see what that looks like. So you can see here kind of the sizes of the polygon are still bigger. So I'll continue to divide. I'm getting to 5 here. And I'm going to delete the lower subdivision levels because I don't need them. So now it's kind of similar, but not exactly. I can go one more. Okay, I'm dividing it one more time and delete lower. So now I've got kind of this going. And again, I'm going to BPR both of these to see what the topology is. And, you know, maybe I went a little overboard. I don't really need that. I didn't need that last subdivision level on this. So I'm going to take that back. Let's do another BPR. So now, you know, more or less these polygons are similar sized. Okay, so now if I do the Boolean, it'll be it'll be a lot cleaner. All right, so now I just go over here to my subtool menu and I start the Boolean over here. This is going to be a subtraction. I'll turn live Boolean on so I can see what's going on here. Turn polyframe off. And this is what I'm getting. Okay, and this is what I want to get. So that's okay. And here, instead of doing the Boolean by going down here to the Boolean menu and doing it, I'll just do it right here from this gear menu in the folder. The benefit of that is that it keeps your original shapes, and then it also adds that Boolean shape down here. Okay, so here's my Boolean shape, and if I go to polyframe, you can see that, yes, it did create all this jank in the kind of in the corners here, but it's not actually that bad, right? It's, you know, it's pretty even, and also I'm getting exactly the shape I want. And if I go here and press D, I'm going to get all this chatter on the edges, so I don't want that. And there's a couple of ways of getting rid of this. One of them is to use what is it, the Bevel Pro plugin, which kind of puts another edge loop around here. That's one way of doing it. And another way of doing it is, since I've got this, and also, by the way, this does create polygroups. So here I'm just going to isolate this one and go to that other polygroup, make it one polygroup. So I've got 2 different polygroups here. If I wanted to, and I don't know if this is going to work, let's see, I'm going to give it a try here. I'm going to go ahead and keep this the same topology, and I'm going to go ahead and say detect edges, keep groups, and for good measure, I'm going to crease PG here, crease the polygroups, and say keep creases, turn the smoothing down to a lot less, Z-mesh it one more time, and so now I basically have cleaner edges as well, right? So if I press D now, notice that those edges are no longer all mucked up, they're better. And if if I'm pressing D, I think if I turn dynamic on, all right, yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah. So I'm going to get a nice kind of, I can add subdivisions to this if I need to. All right, so that's kind of the best way. All right, let's see what's going on. Yeah, well, I mean, yes, the coplanar thing, and there's a way to check for that, by the way, the coplanar thing. If you go to the Boolean menu here, there is a, where did it go? There used to be a thing that basically did the checking. Did they take that out? Maybe they did. Let me see if it's up here. Okay, so Boolean, yeah, there was something that did a check on the Boolean, and it used to be, I think it used to be in this menu, but maybe not. Maybe it was somewhere else, I forget. Could be under geometry, and is there a Boolean option here? Yeah, but there was a thing that checked the Boolean to see if it worked well. Okay, and you might still need to learn. Yeah, well, I mean, you could and you could not. I know some artists that just use ZBrush. That's all they do, and then again, they just go to other artists that know the other software for help. I think again, I mean, all these software packages have a lot of capabilities, a lot of features, and there's no way you can learn all of them. I don't know anybody who knows all of them, so it's a good idea to kind of lock in your guardrails as to where you want to stay, and then connect with people that will do the other things. Because if you are planning on doing the whole thing yourself, it's like it's a nightmare. Um, Yeah, the perpendicular thing, yeah, if they're coplanar, then Booleans have an issue. And I think that there was a way to check it in ZBrush, and I think maybe they took it out. It's very strange. Here's Bevel Pro, and it's kind of a nice, I don't know if I clicked it. I hope I didn't. Because it's an external app that it shoots this to, and then you can basically put a edge loop around it. But I mean, for a Boolean mesh, this is kind of the initial thing that I got, and then what happened to my? Let me do the ZBrush again. Here's the ZBrush. Okay, so if you look at the ZBrush, it's pretty clean. I mean, it's not perfect. I would probably, if I was modeling this manually, I'd probably do it a little bit differently, but just for a kind of a one button press, and I probably could even get a better result if I double this. There we go. Yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. The only weird thing I see is over here, but that's easily fixable. A little bit of artifact. Whoops. Let's see what the topology is. Yeah, for some reason I just chose to make this one pixel go in. So I just pull that out and we're good. Here we go. Yeah, so I have polygroups, I've got kind of clean topology, and if I press D here to go to dynamic subdiv with smoothness of 2, I get pretty decent results. I might need to do a little bit of work here, but overall it's not bad. And if I don't want that, if I just want the initial piece, I mean, that looks pretty good too. It's just that it's got this, I can't subdivide it because it's got all this weird kind of topology where the Boolean happens over here. But it does still give me polygroups, right? So it still gives me this and gives me the star as well. And the topology of the star mostly is what it was before, and also the topology of the cylinder is mostly what it was before. It's just where the connection is, where the funk happens. Okay, so, and I, just to let everybody know who's watching, I mean, it's always okay to ask these questions. That's what we're here for, and I'll be more than happy to kind of leave the project and jump in and answer some questions for you. So, yeah. Let's go back to the object. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that either. I think if you're a good 2D artist, you still can do a lot. I mean, nothing from AI, that's going to be used in any production is going to be used right out of AI. There's still a lot of work that needs done, a lot of cleanup, a lot of image processing. So knowing a good 2D software is always, like Photoshop maybe or something else, is always a good idea. I don't think that's going to be a bad thing at all. All right, so back to these guys, and then let's divide this one more time here. And let's add some alphas. Oh, let me do this real quick. R isn't here. Alpha, R. Okay, and then let's pick one of these little alphas. Maybe this one. Oh, always forget to choose the brush. All right, let's do this one. All right, now that let's pick that alpha. And let's do rectangle. We have symmetry on. I think it's a little too deep. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ZBrush artists I know that are like, yeah, topology doesn't matter. I've never worried about topology, blah blah blah. And I don't know what to say. I mean, to me that means that they know somebody who's doing the topology work for them, because there's no way that you can get away with. You definitely have to. At some point you're going to run into some sort of trouble, and then need good topology. All right, so I had like a weird thing happen here where I didn't have backface mask on, and it did this thing to it. And I don't know if I like this or not, but it's kind of a happy accident. So I'm kind of going to see if I'm going to go along with it, or if I'm going to go back. All right, let's see if this happens the other way as well. Oh, closed objects, yeah, for sure. I mean, if when you're in doubt, always do a check mesh and fix mesh in ZBrush. Those are pretty neat capabilities. And before you do the Boolean, you definitely want to make sure that your mesh is closed and your mesh is, does not have problematic things like edges touching each other, or all sorts of things that could happen. So check mesh and fix mesh are your friends. I mean, it's so much so that I have them right here in my UI on the bottom. I don't know if you guys can see the bottom. Yeah, you can. Okay, yep. All right, so I'm just kind of putting a little doohickey over here on the side, and I'm going to do the same thing. Oops. The other side as well. And here again, I'm just eyeballing it. If this was a bigger piece, I'd probably do this a lot more kind of preciously, or I'd put more time into it. But over here, I think it's just good enough right there. So, I mean, I'm not going to be getting too close to this. If I was, it's not what I would do, but it's not bad here. And then let's see. Let's see what yeah, all that's good stuff. Yeah, definitely, with Booleans, you definitely want to basically keep it down to exactly the two objects that are going to have the intersection, or the union, or the, whatever you're doing. The more objects you add to it, the more, errors you could run into. And so, yeah, if you can, if you have a compound object, don't Boolean the compound object. Separate out the part that's actually going to be in the intersection or union, and just work on those parts. And then you can always add the other parts later if you need to. Right, all these are working fine except this one, so I'm just going to solo this and see what's going on here. Part of my challenge is that I can't make the brush size bigger. I mean, I can if I turn dynamic off, but I'm trying to avoid doing that for some reason. Okay, so that's good. And then let's do a couple other alphas on here. Let's find something interesting for the side. Nope. Again, here I'm just going for visual interest. Again, this is going to be pretty small. So whatever shape I add is going to be a big kind of, it's not working. Find another piece here. Actually, this is the shape that I used to make this light. I think it is. And I'll probably be making another part where I'll show you how I did it, because I think it's useful. All right, so this gives it a little bit more definition, and then I'm going to use H polish to just kind of establish some planes over here. Do I have dynamic on? I do. All right, so for this corner bit, no, I didn't do it before. It's always good to bump up preserve edge to 100, and then you can get crisper edges. Like so. So it allows you to get that better corner. All right, man. Thanks for coming on, and again, thanks for the reminding me or telling me about the Stream Deck plugin. That was super useful. Especially if there's a crash or something, it's an easy recovery. So you can see here I've gone from something that was kind of a little bit blobby, something that's getting more and more hard surface, and so I think that's good enough for this light. Let's move on to some other pieces. So these are looking like that, and I don't know why, I think I deleted the wrong ones, but these actually go over here. Oh man. Okay, so here's a perfect situation where I've got two pieces that I need to move to that location. So again, I'm going to go to this, and didn't want to do that. Let's go to select rectangle, deselect everything, and all I want to do is select these two pieces. So I just want to get an angle where I can select them. Right, so now the rest of the bike is all kind of not going to move. But those two pieces, which means this light and its lens, are going to move together. And I also want to scale them both up a bit. Oh, I accidentally caught this other piece. I can remove it. Bring this over. Resize these a bit to kind of fit into that groove. And there they are. Beautiful. One other thing I want to do here is also make them a little bit bigger this way. So certain adjustments you can make without losing any of the detail. So yeah, there we go. Those came out really nice. Like they belong there. That's perfect. I just need to move them forward a tiny bit. There. Nice. Okay. All right, so let's see what other things we can do here. Let's see if I can add. These turned out to be pretty. I do have a bit of a bevel on these edges, but these other edges seem to be pretty kind of crisp. So I'm going to try and do something here and see if it works. So I'm just going to select that one piece, this one. And this one is a Boolean piece. So you can kind of see I've got that Boolean edge over here. So what I want to do here is I want to add some sort of a border in here to indicate and not have that be such a crisp edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my stroke menu, just here somewhere, and I'm going to go to curve, and I'm going to go ahead and go to curve functions, and I'm going to say let's frame the mesh around the polygroup, which is going to put this kind of border around here. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the I think I might have this already in my brushes. Do I? Yep. Curve tubes. Right. And I'm going to change the size down to 1 and just click over here, and that puts that in there like so. Okay. But I don't know if I want it to be like that. So what I'm going to do here is just split unmasked points. So that is a separate piece. Okay. So this is kind of what this is going to look like now. And by the way, I can use this also to Boolean out a kind of a chamfer or a bevel, but I'm not going to do that. All I'm going to do here is just go to that piece, not that one, but the tubular one. So let's go back to tools. Let's go back to wherever this is. And hopefully the tube is right underneath. It is. And what I want to do is put this gizmo in the center. And let's rotate it so it is aligned with it. And now I'm just going to go ahead and resize this so it's smaller. And this is kind of one of those finessing things that you need to do very slowly. Let's turn polyframe off. And yeah, I mean, that kind of created a little bit of a nicer transition. But I think maybe I can push this in a bit more. And just make some minor adjustments. That just kind of indicates that there's something inside of there that kind of detracts from this kind of crisp edge. And actually, it adds more to it as well. I can give that one subdivision level. And if I want to, I can pull these out a bit if I really want to, but I think it's working the way it is. Right, and I'm going to do a similar thing to this one. Okay, there it is. Now with this one, I have the option of adding it on both sides, which I don't really want to do. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. I wonder if masking will work. So let's try doing that first. So I'm going to go to mask lasso and mask this part out because I don't want this part to get a curve, but I have a feeling it's going to get one anyway. But let's see, frame mesh. Yep, it is going to get it. And deleting this curve is going to be a bit of a problem. So I'm going to just go ahead and regenerate those things on both of them. So draw size of 1. There are the two things regenerated. All right. Now I've got a bit of a problem here where this one isn't continuing through, but I don't care because all I need it to do is continue. I don't know why this curve is kind of giving me problems, but I think I've got enough to get it to work. So, all right, let's go ahead and split unmasked points. Go to those curves and see how we can get them to work. And get rid of those anomalies. And I don't know why they're there, but I'm not going to really worry too much about it. Oh, man. I get it now. It's because it's got to connect with these ones. And I don't know if these ones are all separate or if they're connected. I don't think they are. Okay. And that might work too. Yeah. Huh. All right. So, yeah, because I don't really need this inside part, and I think that's kind of what's tripping this up. All right, let's go to the piece again. I'm going to delete this and see if I can redo it a different way. I think it's because it's got this weird polygroup down here. All right, I'm just going to duplicate this part, and I'm going to go ahead and go to another view here and just look at this part. Okay, and then I don't really need all these other polygroups, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on this one here and separate that out. Let me click on double here to see both sides. And again, I just need this one. So I'm going to go in here and go to select lasso and just select, oops. And just select these two like this. And then invert my selection and group all these as one group. So now I've got just two polygroups. And so this is kind of a better scenario, frame mesh, and I just got this one. And then I can just add the curve to here. I don't know why it's got all these points, but we'll see if it just works. And it kind of does, kind of doesn't. It works where I need it to, but then again, somehow it is separating itself out. I don't know why. Let's check this mesh. Okay, mesh looks like it's fine. So what is the deal with this curve just kind of being all wonky like this? Another thing I want to do here is maybe mirror and weld this. And let's see if this will make the, delete this, redo it. Oh, it's even weirder now. All right, let's see what we'll get. I might have to do a couple of things here, which are not really that hard to do, but I might have to do them. But let me see what I get first, which I'm not, like, considering all these points are next to each other, I think it's going to be all really funky over here. But that cleaned up this outside part, which is kind of, and I got this inside part. So I might be able to just use these, and I don't really care about this inside part. It's not really going to be that visible. All right, so let's go ahead and go with that. So split masked points. All right, and then it's kind of an interesting result I've got here, but I don't really need all that. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete hidden. And this outside part is all good, but I don't really need this doohickey over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to Control A. Or just mirror and weld this. I think that'll solve that problem. Now I want to connect these two, and I wonder if I can, and I think I should be able to. And then it looks like there's like this weird disk in the middle, which I don't need. So let's go to ZModeler, and let's go ahead and go to Delete Island and get rid of that middle disk. I should turn symmetry on. I know it's symmetrical, so there's that. And now the other thing I want to do is I want to delete flat island. Get rid of this one. Get rid of this one. And let's just delete poly loop. Let's get rid of this and this as well. And now I don't know if I have the same number of edges. I should, but let's see if bridge works. So this bridge, 2 holes, this hole to this. That's okay. Yep, and that does it. All right, so Control W, one group. There it is. All right, that's the piece I need. Now I can get rid of that other part I made, which I think is this one. I don't need that anymore. All right, let's go to all the parts, and then so this is what I just created. Right, so let me go to that piece over here, and I want to make that smaller. Push it in. Another thing I could do is use inflate, but I'm not going to do that. And I just want to see where this is going. I want it to show up, but not too much. Kind of want to get the same effect I'm getting over here. I'm actually taking it back to the way it was. And one of the things I wanted to do is move this over here so it resizes it from the center of this versus the center back there. And just move this down. And again, it's just a minor thing, but it makes a difference. And again, I don't care about the bottom part, so that works out. And again, it's just to kind of not have, you know, these are pretty sharp, but all of a sudden now having something inside of them makes them seem a little bit better. And I don't really need to do it over here because I've created a piece inside of here, so that's good. All right, what else do we need to do here? Now it's always good to get some like minor details on here, and I think this piece over here, is this still Dynamesh? It sure is. All right, I mean, and I don't mind keeping it as Dynamesh, I guess. But I will subdivide it once. And then let's pop some alphas on here. Again, just little details that kind of break up the shape. I think I can go a little bit deeper on this one. I don't know if I want to mess with that. A little bit too much, maybe 35, 36 is good. And I want to go in this direction. I'm going to change the paint on this so I could actually see what I'm doing. I just decided to continue this line up. Again, just a minor detail, but just that little bit. I don't know if I like it from that angle. I'm going to try and do it over here. But again, just a little detail that kind of can add to the design. It should be purposeful too. I don't know if this shape's working. I think that's the problem here. What have we got here? Just try a line. Yeah, something like that sometimes works. I mean, that was good, but I just want to make sure I get it to be more precise. There, right? So, I mean, it's not much, but it just a little bit of detail there. Okay, I'm going to add another one over here. And this time I can go, maybe pick a bit thicker line. Let's try that. Okay. I'm going to go one more subdivision here. Right. And for that, I'm going to add a kit bash part. And I'm going to go into my kit bash kit over here that I'm going to release at some point, getting closer and closer, still not there though. And let's pick something here. Maybe one of these kinds of things, or let's see, let's do something more interesting. How about one of these guys? Okay, and then copy. Let's go back to our bike, which is over here. And let's paste. Let's unify. Make this way smaller. And where is that other part? So again, you know, little pieces like this, they don't really, you know, I mean, they're really tiny, but if you add a different material to them, they really kind of create a little bit more visual interest. So there, there. And these are, I mean, these parts are pretty much very low topology. This one's just 8,000 polygons, but again, you can bake it into a normal map if you really need the economy, but I'm just going to place this over here like that. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. Okay. All right, I'm just going to mirror and weld it to the other side. Which it didn't do for some reason. Is it local? No. Oh yeah, it is. All right, so it just kind of created those little two bits over there. And so that kind of will create some visual interest. Okay, so this over here is another kind of sensor or light. And I wanted to do a little bit of work on it. So let's go ahead and do that. I do want to keep it as straight. And I don't know how much I want it to protrude. I was kind of experimenting with this. I think that's the last thing I was doing before I quit last time. So maybe something like that. I think there's something you said about keeping the line with the edge of this, so I'm just going to do that. So that's it right there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and solid this out and make it into an interesting shape. All right, so I've got the light here, which I should just pull out as I'm thinking about it. So QMesh, single poly. And I'm just going to use Alt to pull this out, give it a little bit of thickness, and then split this two parts. Okay, and so that created that little piece that's going to be more like a glass piece. And then for this one, all I want to do is just go and do dynamic subdivision and do a Q grid on it, like so, and change the coverage so it's not like such a crisp piece. And I'm going to decrease the Q grid to 2 and then change the coverage up. Maybe more of a Q grid here. All right, so that's kind of okay. Let's just go ahead and apply that. And that kind of gives me a little bit of better topology. And I don't really want to do that much work on this one, but I do want to subdivide it. So I'm going to add some actual, delete lower here, and just get square polygons. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing I did earlier, which is just go ahead and add polygons to make this into a square shape. That does that. Now here, they're not all the same size, so I might need to go back and forth to get what I want. All right. Just wanted to do one. Okay, I don't know why it just has to. Here we go. Okay, all right, that's good. And the rest are okay. I mean, I do have some areas where it's going to create extra polygons. And the reason why I'm doing this, by the way, is because I'm going to subdivide this a few times. And I'm going to add some alphas to it. Like the gizmos all the way over here. Let's just bring this in. All right, so let's go ahead and do a little bit of detail on this. So I'm going to turn polyframe off and do my alphas. Let's just pick interesting alpha. To even go more in subdivision levels. If this shape's working. Let's try this one. I can. I don't know why it's taking me so long to do. It's not that it's not, so here's the thing. It's done pretty much, right? The first one is done. It's not the kit bash kit itself that's going to be the thing that's going to take a lot of time. The thing that's going to take a lot of time is creating all the material for it and posting it on Gumroad and and all that stuff. And, you know, I mean, it's not that hard, but it does take time. And I have to find like a big chunk of time that I can do it in. So I will do it then. Hang on a sec, I'm getting a text. Okay, so I'm sorry I have to end this stream a little bit early today, but I was just going to do a little bit more of this work. I'll do it, you know, I'll do it kind of offline because it's going to be more of the same, just putting alphas in different places and creating some interesting details. So I'm not just looking at the kind of the plain, you know, just like every little detail like this kind of adds visual interest. You know, adding another thing over here will add visual interest, one over here, etc. And then doing a little bit of work over here, and that's basically it. This bike is pretty much done. And then after that, it's just about texturing it, which is going to be pretty straightforward. I just have to pick different colors. I mean, this is a neat color scheme, but I'm going to add a different one. And then just rendering it. And I'm going to wait to render it because I'm going to wait for a few things to happen before that. So I'm going to call it a night, and I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. And wherever you are, happy good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time of day it is. And please, you know, tune in a couple of weeks where I will continue or I will start something new. Yeah, so next time I'm starting something new, and then we'll return to this after a while. So thanks again for watching.